This is Cardinal Mason, and I made him over 100 grand from a single video on Instagram. And the best part is anybody watching this video can implement any of the strategies that I'm about to explain into their own business to increase their revenue, get a lot more views, grow their personal brand, and whatever it may be. Now, the system is called the Organic Scaling Engine, and there are three key parts of the system. I'm going to be explaining each of them now. So this is actually the video in question that you could see here. It hit over 18.8 million views. And off the back of that, he was able to make $100,000. Actually, probably more than 100K. It was 100K at the time that we recorded our testimonial video, our client interview video, which you can see in the description, by the way, if you want evidence that this is legit. But at the time of the testimonial, it was 100K, probably a heck of a lot more. The first part of this entire strategy is the creative. So let's walk through exactly how we ended up creating this video. Now, this is called a non-filming video. I call them NFs. And you essentially just use B-roll or photos with text on screen. Now you can see it's a photo here of Mason and his brother working on their laptop with text on screen. POV, you and your younger brother each make 400K a year writing emails online. Now, the reason why these work very well is because you can make them very, very short. They're extremely low effort to make, literally just B-roll with a clip on top. But the thing that's so good about them is they have very high retention, okay? People watch the full thing because they're not difficult to watch. They're extremely easy to watch, and they have a lot of retention. So what that means is in the algorithm, if you have a very high percentage of people watching a video till the end, then they are going to essentially push it out to more people because they think that it's a video that people want to watch. Now, with this one in particular, it was a trending audio. Now, you need to understand that hopping on trends is not a thing that you should be doing for every video because you won't build a real brand. But whenever an opportunity comes for you to implement a trend into your personal brand, you need to do it. Now, this had a trending audio and a trending visual, I guess, because the video was 0.5 seconds long. And like I said, with B-roll videos, they have a high retention, but with 0.5 seconds, even if you watch and read the title for 5 seconds, it's going to loop like 10 times, right? So it kind of tricks the algorithm in a way to push it out to way more people and get significantly higher views. We also use a trending audio. Now, I can't really mimic the audio for you, but it was just like a very short, quick bleep noise. And this video would just like beep over and over and over again, beep, beep, beep. And that was essentially the creative, right? So the way that you find these trending things, right? These trendy styles, these trending audios is not something that you can really use any kind of, method or tool for. You simply just have to be watching content all the time. So you got to watch content consistently inside your niche and also outside your niche. So the way I like to explain it is you have to curate your feed. So most people, they do scroll and they watch whatever is like pleasing their brain the most, which is like usually just the dumb stuff, right? That's actually not going to move the needle in your business. But if you scroll with intention, only liking and watching videos that are getting good engagement in your specific niche or in adjacent niches, then your feed is going to start giving you only that style of content. Now, I've done this so much that whenever I pull up my Instagram feed, it's only content that either for myself or for my clients that we could create, right? It gives us inspiration. So watching a lot of content that is curated in your niche is a really good way to stay on top of trends. As soon as you start seeing people doing that trend more and more often, and it's getting a ton of views and ton of likes, you have about 2 to 4 weeks to jump on that. Now, with this trend, it was like maybe 3-4 days deep into the trend. So we were very, quick on the ball with it whenever it started to get pushed out a lot more. And that's why we were able to get so many views and make so much money off the back of the leads that came in from this video, right? So you have about 2 to 4 weeks before the whole trend is dead and it's not going to have anywhere near the amount of effectiveness, right? The next thing you can do is rather than just watching the content, start to save the content, right? Use the folders, it's called collections in Instagram. Use the collections feature in Instagram as you are watching content. Create different folders, different collections with different titles for different niches and start to save that content over time. And then as you are looking to do a new video or you're looking to hop on a new trend, you just look back at what's worked already and use that format that's already performed well and just adjust it to your specific niche. Okay, so that is the creative side of things. We used a non-filming video, text on screen, 0.5 seconds long, and it was a B-roll, a trending audio as well. The second part of everything here is actually the monetization strategy. So how did we actually monetize all of this traffic, right? All of this like 18 million views. Okay. So the most important thing for this was that since it was a 0.5 second video, if it was a B-roll video, we wanted to make it loop as many times as possible. So the best way you can do that with this style of video is by writing a long caption. So we had a caption, it was maybe like 3 paragraphs or 4 paragraphs, short paragraphs long, explaining essentially what Mason does. So POV on the thing is like, POV, you make 400K a year writing emails. So then we just had a long ass caption that essentially explained this. It's like, yeah, I make this amount of money from anywhere in the world, writing emails, using AI, blah, blah, blah. Stretch it out for 3 or 4 paragraphs. Now, in the time someone takes to read that, maybe it takes like a minute to read the whole thing. I don't know. But because it's such a short video, 0.5 seconds, it loops like a million times so that it kind of tricks and hacks the algorithm to push it out to more people. Now, you can do this exact same thing with any other kind of B-roll video. It doesn't have to be 0.5 seconds long. It can be 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 10 seconds. But the point is, if you have a long-ass caption, it will make the video loop more. It'll push it out to more people. And essentially, it'll just make everything perform significantly better. Okay. Now, at the bottom of the long-ass captions, we had a bunch of, paragraphs. At the bottom, it said, comment, word for the thing, right? So comment word to get the free thing. Now, for this one in particular, it was comment the word to, I think like either work with me or learn how it works. I can't remember exactly, right? But you can either have a direct CTA to work with you or a CTA to get a free thing, like a free course, free lead magnet, anything like that. Now, off the back of that, you're going to have thousands of people commenting in combination with the video looping like a million times and all these people commenting. The algorithm just loves that video and just blasts it out to everybody. And that's why we're able to hit 18 million views, almost 19 million views on that video, because we just combined two of the best things that Instagram loves: a lot of retention and a lot of comments. And it just blasted the video out to everybody's For You page. We ended up with something like, I think, 15,000 comments or maybe 10,000 comments, something like that, of people that were wanting to learn more about what Mason had described in that caption, right? Now, what you want to do then, once you have all these comments, or you should obviously set this up in advance before doing it, is you'll have a ManyChat automation that will automatically send them either the resource or an application to work with you. You want to automate this as much as possible, right? You want to automate, if you're going to go direct and you're, hopefully going to get a lot of people, you don't want to be manually qualifying all these people. It's like, hey, thanks for, commenting to want to work with me. Here's the application for doing so. You go through and you can, qualify based on finances, etc. Or you can send them the free resource. Either or. No, I always like to make sure we're collecting emails here on the free resources, because otherwise it's just a waste. You want to be collecting emails, build that list, and then if someone doesn't monetize off the bat, they can be put into your email flows and monetize later, right? By the way, if you guys want my help with this kind of thing, and you want to work with me to scale your audience on social media and ultimately make a heck of a lot more money from social media, just click the link in the description, book a call. I look forward to speaking with you. Chances are you might be speaking to me personally, but it'd be great to see you there. Now, the third part of this whole flow. So we have the creative, which is this video. We had the monetization strategy, which was long caption with a comment CTA at the bottom. Now, like some people would have, booked calls directly off the back of this automation. But if you just leave it at that, you're really leaving so much money on the table. So what Mason had in place was a setter. And this is where it can really get nutty, because if you have like 15K comments, there's really like an unlimited amount of leads that you can go through to monetize and book calls, right? Once you have the setter, only a certain percentage of those people will book directly, and you want a setter to pick up the rest of the leads, okay? So essentially, what you want them to do is whenever someone requests the application and it pings into their DMs, like, hey, here's the application. If they don't reply, then you want to have a ManyChat reminder that goes in that either says, hey, did you fill out the application? Or you can have a question that says, hey, just curious, what inspired you to want to get the application? And they can respond with their answer. And from there, then the setter can take over the conversation and start to handle those replies. It will start to qualify. Okay. So always end off your ManyChat automations with a leading question that gets them to reply to kick off another flow. Now, the setter can obviously handle those. Those are like the layups, like the easy leads to close. But of course, then there's three other ways that we can set by this. So obviously, there's the DMs, there's the commenters, and there's the likers. Now, from highest to lowest, like this is the best, this is number two, and this is like the lowest intent, just to like. Now, with the DMs, obviously going to be highest to 10 people. If they're engaging, it looks like a quality profile. Great. If you run out of those DM people, then you go back to the comments. You see who left the comment that wasn't ManyChat comment CTA keyword, and you can start to outbound DM them. If you run out of all those people, then you can outbound DM all the likes. Okay. Now, I don't think that was done for this video in particular because there was quite literally, God, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of likes and tens of thousands of comments. So logistically, it would have been very difficult. But the setter was in there qualifying and doing the appointment. So when you are qualifying as a setter, you want to qualify on three things. Okay. This is really the only three things that matter. And that is one, knowledge. So are they aware of the opportunities? Like, hey, do you know anything about, this is for copywriting. Okay? Do you know anything about copywriting, or would you like me to give you a breakdown of what it is? Oh, I know a lot about copywriting. I've been looking into it, or I have no idea. What is it? And then you can copy paste a breakdown of exactly what copywriting is, right? So you want to make sure they have knowledge of what the opportunity is. Second is you want to qualify on finance. Now, you can have a bit of a back and forth conversation about the knowledge, like, hey, where you based, what you do for work, what got you interested in this. And then you can say like, hey, we can set up a call with, one of our coaches to walk through exactly how our program works. But, just for transparency, this is a 4-figure investment. Is that an amount of money you're currently comfortable investing into yourself? And to say anything other than yes, like they're just not qualified. Okay. So you want to figure out if they're financially qualified. You can also do that just by asking if they have like, what they're currently working as, what's their job. If they're working as like, something like a very entry level, low level job, it might not be a fit depending on your offer. But in general, you just want to ask them, are they comfortable investing in themselves? And then 3, you want to ask for like some form of like, what's their level of commitment? It's like, okay, so like, let's assume, so you can tell them, let's assume, the program makes sense and the money makes sense. Is this something you would be totally against moving forward on this week or working with us starting this week? And you can really get engaged for like where they're currently at in the process. If they're kind of like, nah, I don't want to do anything. And like, I'm just like looking around, not a good fit. Don't waste your closer's time. But if they are showing signs of like that they would move forward, then you can book them on. And these are basically the 3 most basic things. Obviously, offer by offer, it can differ for how you want to qualify people. But in general, these are the 3 things. Now, this is something that anybody can do, by the way. Get simple B-roll shots of you doing anything, like literally sitting, working at your computer. Put some text on the top of the screen, POV, you just blah, blah, blah. You make this amount of money doing this. Long caption. So the video loops many, many times. It kind of also pre-frames people. It gets them interested about the offer. Comment CTA at the bottom, either for a free thing or if you want to go for the kill to work with you specifically. Then have ManyChat automation to either send a free resource or send them an application form to automatically get them to apply. Then have a follow-up message that gets them involved in a setter conversation. Have a setter jump in, or you can just do it yourself and handle those conversations, pre-qualify based on knowledge, finance, commitment. Book them on your closer sales calendar or your sales calendar. And if you're taking the calls, and then you're good from there. This was the strategy that we used to make 100K for Mason. It's simple. It seems like, people like to overcomplicate it, but it was simple, right? It's just all about the execution and how you get it right. That was pretty much everything for the video. If you liked it, hit the like, hit subscribe button. And remember, if you want to speak with me about potentially working together, just hit the link in the description, book a call, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.